The Showmax Roast of Helen Zille has officially arrived, and South Africans across the country are talking about it. Released on May 16, 2025, this comedy event is already sparking conversations, laughter, and even some controversy. In a country where politics is often a very serious business, the idea of a major political figure like Helen Zille agreeing to be roasted might sound surprising at first. But when you think about the tone of South African social media, the satire in our daily conversations, and the strong presence of political humor in local comedy scenes, it almost makes sense. South Africans love to laugh, especially when the jokes hit close to home. So, when Helen Zille agreed to step into the hot seat and take a barrage of jokes, the excitement started building immediately. And when it was announced that this roast would be part of the Laugh Africa Comedy Festival and streamed on Showmax, people knew it was going to be something big. It wasn't just a roast, it was a national moment, bringing together comedians, celebrities, political personalities, and an eager audience all in one place. And what came out of that event was more than just jokes, it was a mix of sharp humor, bold commentary, and a reflection of where South African politics and comedy intersect. To understand the significance of this roast, we have to take a step back and look at who Helen Zille is and how her journey brought her to this unexpected stage. Zille has been a prominent figure in South African politics for many years. As a former journalist, former mayor of Cape Town, former Premier of the Western Cape, and one-time leader of the Democratic Alliance, her name carries weight in political discussions. She's known for being outspoken, fiercely independent, and unafraid to say exactly what she thinks, even when it stirs controversy. Over the years, her comments on social media, particularly on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter, have often sparked backlash, debates, and mockery. In fact, many people joke that she gets roasted daily online, so perhaps it's fitting that she would agree to be roasted formally on stage. In a WhatsApp response to Stuart Taylor, the creative director of the Laugh Africa Comedy Festival, Zille herself joked, "I get roasted every day on X, why wouldn't I do this? Let's go." This one line captures a lot about her personality. She's bold, willing to confront criticism head-on, and doesn't mind poking fun at herself. When the roast finally happened during the Laugh Africa Comedy Festival between May 2nd and May 4th, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a typical comedy show. The event was meticulously planned, and the stage was set for a night of brutal, clever, and hilarious jokes. Hosted by Trevor Gambai and Tumi Morake, the lineup included some of the funniest and most recognizable names in South Africa. Comedians and personalities like Loyiso Gola, Bongani Bingwa, Rian van Heerden, Zwe Bolla, JJ Tabane, Melville Johan, Coconut Kells, Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, Londai London, and even Patricia de Lille were present. This was a mix of seasoned political commentators, popular entertainers, and rising comedy stars. Each of them brought their unique style, blending satire, sarcasm, and fearless punchlines to target not only Zille but also the broader state of South African politics. What made this roast stand out was the way it managed to mix humor with sincerity, without crossing into disrespect. Some jabs were sharper than others, some were met with roaring laughter, and others drew gasps from the audience. But every single panelist seemed to understand the assignment, bring their A-game, deliver hard-hitting jokes, and still keep the spirit of the event intact. One of the highlights was when Helen Zille herself stood up to respond. After taking blow after blow from some of the country's wittiest minds, she stood calmly and delivered a line that had the room in stitches. Was that supposed to be a roast? That was more like a snooze on a sunbed. It was a cheeky comeback, a reminder that she wasn't there to be humiliated, she was part of the act, fully aware of what the night meant. That one-liner also showed how comfortable she was in the moment and how much she understood the deeper value behind such an event. The Showmax Roast of Helen Zille wasn't just a comedy special, it was a mirror held up to the nation. It forced us to think about the role of public figures in our society and whether we allow them to be human. It pushed boundaries in a way that comedy is meant to do, raising questions about accountability, public image, and the role of humor in civic discourse. For Helen Zille to agree to such a public and potentially uncomfortable event, it took a level of self-awareness and bravery. In many parts of the world, political leaders rarely open themselves up to this kind of vulnerability. But this wasn't about being weak, it was about showing strength through self-deprecation. It was about recognizing that public life comes with criticism and that laughing at oneself can sometimes be the most powerful form of taking control. The roast also highlighted how South African comedy has evolved. In recent years, the comedy scene in the country has grown into a dynamic space that blends local culture, political commentary, and sharp wit. Platforms like Showmax and Comedy Central have helped bring this style of humor to a wider audience, giving comedians a stage to be bold, relevant, and deeply reflective of the times. The fact that Showmax streamed this roast and gave it such high visibility speaks volumes about how entertainment is changing and how audiences are eager for content that is not only funny but meaningful. Events like this don't just entertain, they educate and challenge norms. They show that even those in positions of power can be questioned, joked about, and held up to the light in a way that doesn't strip them of dignity but rather adds to their humanity. Looking forward, the success of this roast might set the tone for future events in South Africa. It could open the door for more political figures to participate in similar formats, where humor is used as a tool to build bridges rather than burn them. It's not about tearing someone down, it's about inviting them into a shared moment of national reflection, one that includes laughter and accountability. If other politicians are watching, they might now be thinking twice about how they engage with the public. Being open to satire doesn't mean you're not serious, it means you're aware of your role and the public's perception of it. Ultimately, the Showmax Roast of Helen Zille is a landmark moment in South African entertainment. It combines politics, humor, and public engagement in a way that very few events have done before. It shows that even in a divided political landscape, we can come together for a laugh, for a moment of honesty, and for something that reflects the real, messy, sometimes funny nature of our country. So if you've had the chance to watch it, what did you think? Which jokes landed the hardest for you? Did anything surprise you about Helen Zille's reactions or the way the comedians handled the event? Do you think more public figures should participate in events like this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another moment like this. We'll be back with more deep dives, updates, and content that brings the real South African experience to life, one story at a time.